Hi guys, my name is Mark. Welcome back to another episode of the podcast. Today I'm going to be interviewing Taylor, my tutor, who also had a career in football, and we're just going to learn a little bit more about, what it was like for him and his experience in the game. So let's start from the beginning. Introducing yourself into football. How were you? How did you get involved in the sport, and what was that early years of your career like?
Yeah, early years. So growing up in a small village in Hampshire. My dad was really into football. He was a QPR fan, season ticket holder, and he took us to games. But then at the age of 5 or 6, he would take us to a local village team, me and my brother, and we just go and play and enjoy running around with the other kids, really.
Okay, and then when did you realise maybe like that you were starting to enjoy it, and you would feel like I actually want to start doing this? I'm like,
yeah, well, I didn't massively enjoy football at the start. So certainly at the age of 5 and 6, I just remember it being cold, wet, wearing these stiff socks, trying to pull the stiff socks up your leg and get out. I didn't really enjoy it at first. It was only until sort of I actually started playing games, so under 9s, when I played for Petersfield Town, a local village team, and started playing and scoring a few goals. Then I felt like I quite enjoyed it. So yeah, I'd say sort of under 8s, under 9s started to enjoy it a little bit.
okay, and then obviously you transitioned into into academies, and how was that going? You started in Southampton, if I'm correct.
Yeah. So I got signed for Southampton in under 10s.
Okay, and how was that? And how was that like the transition from the Sunday league sort of aspect to academies? Like, how was that?
Yeah, it was quite a big jump. I mean, it's quite intense. At that point, I was training 2 to 3 times a week and then playing a game on a Sunday. And these games would be like all over the place. You'd be playing like Cardiff away or Bristol City away or Arsenal away. So you'd be travelling quite far for these games now rather than your local teams.
And was there any pressure when playing for obviously Southampton's a Premier League side? Even at a young age, I feel like there'd be a bit of pressure. Was there really?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, each year players were getting released and new players were coming in and trialists were coming in, and every session was important and every game was important. And if you didn't play well, they would try to make you play better and try to help you. So you did feel that it was important to perform.
And the steps after Southampton, what came after that?
Yeah, so Southampton had a good first 4 years there and then got released at under 14s, 15s. And then my next step was then to go to QPR.
And your reaction to being released, how did your family help? How did let's say the academy helped? How was that?
Yeah, it was difficult. Like, for me, because you join an academy so young, all your friends know you play in the academy, all your family all know that you play in the academy. They're all asking you, how did the game go on the weekend? And then to suddenly be released by Southampton, have to tell people, yeah, I got released. That can be quite difficult. I can understand kids going through that. I don't know if you've experienced anything like that.
No, no, I haven't.
No. But it's not a very nice feeling. And then, yeah, obviously then going to QPR was a new start for me, and my dad was a QPR fan as well. So that was nice for him. He was really happy with that.
Yeah, so obviously, your dad obviously being a QPR fan, did you feel like you had to impress him when you were there? You feel like you had to it was a bit of extra pressure maybe?
Yeah, I think at Southampton I had become a bit stale. So initially when I went to Southampton, I was boosted up an age group because I was quite big and I was doing quite well.
Okay.
They put me up an age group, but then I felt that I probably didn't perform as well as I did at the start, sort of in the last, the year before I got released. And so when I went to QPR, I remember him saying, you look like a completely different player, you look like you're enjoying it again. So it was kind of maybe the repetition of things at Southampton. I'd probably got a bit stale with that, really.
Okay, and then after QPR, you obviously you got released from there as well, and going into your college and education and stuff like that, did you feel like that was more the path for you, or did you want to go back to the football side?
Yeah. When I got released, so obviously being released, you kind of feel that maybe you're not good enough. Maybe, when so many coaches tell you you're probably not going to be good enough, that we don't want you, we want someone else. It gets to a point when you start thinking maybe I'm not, maybe that's not the right route for me. And that's where I was always quite good in school anyway. I got, I achieved all my GCSEs. I had, B's and an A and some C's and stuff like that. So I did okay. And I enjoy studying. I enjoy, doing academic work. So it felt like the natural progression for me.
Okay, and then obviously then we're going to move on to the America side of things. You obviously transitioned from here to America. And how was that process, like, getting those scholarships, getting those offers and things like that? How did that come about?
Yeah, so again, when I went I went to college, so I stopped playing football at academies, and I went and said, look, I'm not interested in football anymore. I just want to go and study and do, a sports science course, and I took a sociology course as well. So I went off the football route. And it was only then when an ex-coach I had, who was my tutor at college, he persuaded me to go and play in the college team. So I started playing in the college team and doing quite well, and then ended up representing England for England schoolboys for 2 years through the college team that I'd been in. So that kind of persuaded me then that you should keep playing football, and that's what he kept saying. The coach kept saying, you should keep playing, like, don't give up on it. And that was really, for me, that was really motivational. And
then obviously, did you feel like America was the path for you? Did you feel like you would have more opportunities out there, maybe?
Yeah. So I'm someone that I quite like new opportunities. I quite like new things. I quite like novel things. And I think naturally I drifted towards that. I wanted to experience something different, which is what America offered me, really.
And at what age did you go over there?
18.
And obviously, yeah, so being 18, and that's still quite young, and going from, like you said, a small town where you're surrounded by family, did you feel like, was it a daunting experience, like going over knowing that you're going to have to kind of, obviously you'd have players around you, but you'd be living by yourself in a way?
Yeah, it was daunting. Like I'd never lived away before, never been away from family for long periods of time, so it was daunting. And I remember when I arrived, you kind of have an idea, a vision of what America's like. But I remember going in the plane and just seeing, like, lots of trees, and, like, it seemed massive, when you're arriving in the plane. It's just like, it's quite daunting.
And then so starting off, at 18, like, what university you go to, and, like, how was the starting up process for you?
Yeah, so I went initially to a small university called Central Connecticut University. This was the reason I chose that, was because there was an English guy as the coach, and he kind of persuaded me to go over there and play. And they were D1, and I got a full ride and stuff like that. So, I didn't know too much else about the league, so I just thought that would be a good option for me. It was then after a year in, I decided that actually, I can go and play for a better one. So I ended up transferring to George Mason University after that.
And what sort of rank were they in the...
At that time, they were sort of top 25, certainly top 50. They were up there, whereas the other uni was sort of top 100, I'd say. So.
Okay, and another, yeah, was that, like, did you find it more challenging in that one, in that university? Was there definitely, like, a difference in level in the training sessions, for example?
Yeah, massive difference. So they had a lot of ex-USA internationals there. So they had, like, 2 or 3 of those that had, played for the USA under-16s or whatever age group they'd played for. So straight away you walk in, you think, yeah, there's some good players here. And then, from there, just everything about it. Like, it was a bigger school. There was like 30,000 students on campus, like 4 or 5 different gyms, like state-of-the-art gyms, swimming pools, everything that you'd want, really.
Okay, so, and then, obviously, then your future plans, like, when did you realise, okay, I'm actually going to start, like, potentially I could push on to the pro game in this country? Like, who gave you that opportunity, and when did you, like, kind of feel like that was your time? Yeah, so I'd be
still at the age of, like, 17, 18, I didn't really, because I'd been released before, I didn't really know if I was capable. But but then, like I say, like once I started playing, and I remember going on trial at Birmingham City and scoring some goals. I scored against like Hereford and Northampton under 23 and stuff like that. I thought, Joe, potentially I think I can still make it. So sort of at the age of 18, 19, I started to believe it a little bit more.
Okay. And then obviously you've had some experience in the professional game. How was that like? At what age did you first step into the pro game, and how was that? Like how did you react, and how did people around you react? And
yeah, it was a really amazing feeling, because having started playing football when I was 5, 6 years old, and then actually stepping on the pitch in front of 15,000 fans, you know, in the first game of the season, it was, you just felt like you were walking on air, you know what I mean? As well as the fact that it was in the draft as well. So, you know, the way the draft is, it's quite a big event.
okay, yeah.
So for it to be announced like that on campus and with all my friends and stuff, it was quite a big, huge experience.
And then on your debut, how was that like? What were the thoughts going through your head? And you know, I can imagine your family was watching. Like, how did they react? You know, seeing you coming on the pitch and.
Yeah, so it was a weird one. Like my family and friends, like, because we weren't sure if I was going to play or not, and it was in Vancouver, which is again like, that's the west coast of America. That's
quite far.
That's like a, I don't know, 14-hour flight, 15-hour flight, maybe even more. I didn't have any friends or family in the stadium, but obviously you're warming up. First game of the season, you know, it's just an amazing experience. Like adrenaline, I just when I got on the pitch, I just felt like I could run forever. And
then obviously scoring your first goal, how did that feel like a weight lifted off your shoulders? Did you feel like, okay, I'm finally here, like I'm.
Yeah, exactly. So amazing again. So I didn't score in the MLS. Shortly after I actually made my debut, I got injured. I couldn't fight my way back into the team. But after that, I signed for a team in Sweden and started scoring goals. And at that point, I felt like I could certainly play as a professional footballer, like have a career in a game.
Okay, and in Sweden, how was that? What was the level like there over there?
Yeah, it was good. So I had Graham Potter, who's a Chelsea manager now. He was my coach in Sweden.
Okay.
And so got signed by him. Obviously, at the time, he's just a regular coach, English coach. Now he's obviously a Premier League manager. But yeah, it was a completely different style than America, than England as well. Much more tactical and technical, not very physical at all. So straight away, as a 6'5", 6'4" guy, you feel quite big and
quite
strong
powerful,
and powerful compared to some of the players. But they were certainly very smart and intelligent in what they did, you know, and you could see how tactical the game was over there.
Okay. And maybe let's finish off with a career highlight. Maybe what was one of those moments where you're like, yeah, this is the best moment.
For me, so I played in the Scottish Cup final. So I went on loan to Scotland after that, and I played in the Scottish Championship. But bearing in mind, in the Scottish Championship at that time, it was Rangers, Hearts, Hibs. They were all in there. And I played for a team called Falkirk, and we ended up having a really good run in the Scottish Cup. And we got to the final, and obviously got beat in the final. But I came off the bench in the final at Hampden in front of, I don't know, 30,000 fans. So.
How that was probably quite a surreal moment. Yeah. Was it? You know, did you feel the pressure? Did you feel the fans on you?
Yeah. So I had quite an up and down time in Scotland anyway. So I had times where I was being cheered a lot, and you know, but then there was times where I got booed and stuff like that. So it was quite a roller coaster over there. But no, like experiences like that, like, you know, the build up to the final, you know, having all the press, you know, around you, and the amount of tension that was on the team, just even the build up was amazing to be involved in. And then obviously then coming off the bench as well was nice.
Okay, and finally, just any advice to people that are, you know, maybe not taking the orthodox path through the academies and this, that, like obviously because you've been all over the world as it seems. So any advice for people that, you know, don't get in straight away?
Yeah, I think the key thing for me is that obviously I got released numerous times, and that affected my confidence, that affected my belief that I could go on and play. Whereas what I would say to kids is that, look, it's only one or two people's opinions. As long as you keep working hard and keep doing what you need to do, eventually you'll make it. No matter what path you go down and what journey you go down, eventually you will make it if you keep working and keep trying. Obviously there are things that can affect that. But I would tell players not to get too affected by being released or things like that.
Okay, perfect. Thank you for that.